Welcome to Speak English Time, your calm space to grow your English and grow yourself, step by step. I'm Emma.
And I'm Ron. You're listening to the English Leap. We call it a leap, but it's not a jump into cold water, not pressure, not speed. It's more like a leap of faith into a new version of yourself.
It's a quiet movement forward, one conversation at a time, one idea at a time. It's about finding the rhythm in the noise of a busy world.
And if you're listening today, maybe you're someone who wants something very simple. You want your English to feel natural. You want to stop translating in your head and start feeling the words in your heart.
Not textbook English, not memorized English that feels like a heavy suit of armor. Real English, the kind that flows like a river.
The kind of English where you can talk, pause, think, laugh, and continue the conversation without feeling like you've run a marathon.
And today, we're exploring one of the most searched questions in the world of language learning. It's a question that defines the modern age of I want it now.
The question that appears in search bars at 2 a.m., in crowded classrooms, and in those quiet midnight thoughts when you feel stuck.
The fastest way to learn English.
But here's the twist. The real answer might surprise you. Because in 2026, the fastest way is rarely the loudest method. It's not about the most expensive app or the most aggressive teacher.
Sometimes it's the quiet habits, repeated every day, that build the strongest foundation.
That invisible work can be lonely, though. Let me ask you something honestly, and I want our listeners to really think about this. Have you ever felt like this? You study English for months. You understand the videos we make. You read articles. But then someone asks you a simple question in a cafe, and your brain freezes.
It's like a computer screen that just goes white. Or maybe you know the words, you can see them in your mind, but they don't come out. Your mind searches for them like someone's searching through a messy drawer for their keys when they're already late for work.
And during that moment of silence, you might think something painful. You might think, maybe I'm just not a language person. Maybe I'm learning too slowly. Maybe everyone else on social media is improving faster than me.
If you've felt that way, it's okay. It's more than okay. It's normal. Really, language learning often feels confusing and chaotic right before it becomes clear. It's the messy middle.
And today's conversation is designed specifically for those in that middle, the B1 to B2 learners, people who have the tools but aren't sure how to build the house. We want to help you unlock the next stage: confidence, fluency, natural expression.
Before we go deeper into the strategies, let's invite you into this conversation. This isn't just Ron and Emma talking, it's a global community. Think about this. What is one specific moment when you wish your English worked better?
Was it during a job interview where you felt you couldn't show your true personality? Was it while traveling and trying to make a friend in a hostel? Or maybe just speaking to someone online about a hobby you love?
Write it in the comments like this. This year, I want my English to help me, and then tell us your dream.
Because language learning becomes an unstoppable force when it connects to real life. It stops being a chore and starts being a key to a door you've always wanted to open.
And speaking of opening doors, most people try to kick the door down. They think speed is the only metric of success.
That's so true. Let's begin with something radical. The fastest way to learn English actually begins with questioning the very idea of speed. We live in a world of instant gratification. We want our food in 5 minutes and our fluency in 5 weeks.
It's a strange paradox, isn't it? Most learners are searching for shortcuts. They want the hacks.
Exactly. The search results are full of it. Learn English in 30 days, fluent in 3 months, or master English while you sleep. But your brain isn't a hard drive. You can't just drag and drop a language into your subconscious. It's a biological, neurological process. It's growth.
Language grows inside the brain. It's about neurons firing together until they wire together. It's about connecting ideas, sounds, emotions, and memories. That takes time to settle.
Which is why learning English is closer to planting a garden than downloading an app. You can't rush a tree. Let's stick with that garden idea. Imagine you plant a seed. You do everything right. You water it, you ensure it has sunlight, you protect it from the wind. But you cannot force it to grow 6 inches by tomorrow just because you're in a hurry.
And what happens if you try to pull the plant upward to make it taller? You kill it. You rip the roots.
Many learners do exactly that to their own progress. They pull at themselves. They think, I should know this by now. They pile on 10 different apps, 15 grammar books, and 20 YouTube channels. They create a noise that prevents growth.
And instead of growing, they feel overwhelmed. They look at their garden and only see the weeds of their mistakes, rather than the small green leaves of their progress.
I've been that gardener who tried to pull the plants up. Let me share something a bit embarrassing. Years ago, I decided I was going to reach C2 level in record time. I became obsessed. I made a schedule that looked like a professional athlete's training camp.
Oh, I can imagine. Let me guess. 5 hours a day?
At least 3 grammar lessons before breakfast, 2 vocabulary lists during lunch, 5 pronunciation videos before bed. I even put sticky notes on my bathroom mirror.
That sounds like a recipe for a breakdown. It was. For the first week, I felt like a superstar. I was winning. By the second week, I started feeling a bit tired. By the third week, I hated the sound of English. I stopped completely. I didn't look at a book for 2 months because I had burnt myself out.
Because the brain needs white space. It needs time to absorb and categorize what it learns. If you don't give it rest, it just stops recording.
And when the brain stops recording, we feel like we're losing everything we worked for. Let's pause here and look at some of the words from that experience.
First, obsessed. This is when you can't stop thinking about something. It's focus, but it's almost too much. Example, I became obsessed with grammar and I forgot to enjoy the stories.
Then there's overwhelmed, that feeling when the water is above your head. You have too much to do and not enough energy. Example, I felt overwhelmed by the 50 new words I tried to learn in 1 hour.
And finally, absorb. This is a beautiful word, like a sponge taking in water or your skin taking in sunlight. It's natural and slow. Example, take a break so your brain can absorb the new phrases.
It really is. The landscape has shifted. 20 years ago, if you wanted to hear real English, you had to find a rare CD or a very expensive textbook. Exposure was a luxury.
But today, exposure is like the air. It's everywhere. We have an infinite supply of English, podcasts, TikToks, AI conversation partners, global gaming servers.
English has left the classroom and moved into the pocket of every person with a smartphone. It's no longer a foreign language. It's the world's operating system.
Since it's everywhere, I often tell my students to think of English as a massive, flowing river. It's moving all around you, through your apps, your work, and your entertainment.
But here's the vital question. Are you just standing on the bank of the river, watching the water go by? Or are you actually jumping in and swimming?
Most people are observers. They watch English content, which is good, but they never touch the water. They don't let the language get on them.
And that's the trap. Watching 100 hours of English videos without ever saying a word is like watching 100 hours of swimming videos. You'll know what a pool looks like, but you'll sink the moment you jump in.
That reminds me of a student you mentioned once. He was a super watcher, wasn't he?
Yes, Leo. Leo was incredible. He could watch a Christopher Nolan movie without subtitles and understand every plot twist. But when he came to our first session and I asked him, "How was your weekend?" he literally couldn't answer.
How is that possible? He had the input.
He had the input, but zero output. His brain was like a library where the librarian had gone on vacation and locked the doors. The books were there, but no one could get them out. He had never practiced the physical and mental act of producing sounds.
So how did you help him unlock that library?
We started a 2-minute rule. After every video he watched, he had to record a voice note for 2 minutes explaining what happened. No editing, no perfect takes, just talking to the air.
And the result?
In 4 weeks, his active vocabulary doubled. He wasn't learning new words, he was finally learning how to use the ones he already knew.
It's the difference between storage and usage. Let's highlight those terms.
Input. This is the language coming in, listening and reading. It's the fuel.
Output. This is the language going out, speaking and writing. It's the engine.
Participate. To take part in. To be a player, not just a spectator.
Being a player is the secret. Emma, you touched on it with Leo, but I think we need to be very clear. Conversation is the only real shortcut.
It's the hidden one because it's the one that scares people the most. We avoid it because it's messy. In a textbook, the answer is always at the back. In a conversation, the answer depends on the other person.
It's the uncertainty. It's the, what if I don't understand their accent? Or what if I use the wrong tense?
But that uncertainty is exactly where the learning happens. That's where your brain is forced to adapt and survive.
I like to compare this fear to driving in the fog. When you're parked and you look out the window, the fog looks like a wall. You think, I can't go out there, I'll crash.
But what happens when you actually put the car in gear and drive slowly?
The fog opens up. You can see the next 5 meters, and as you move those 5 meters, you see the next 5. You don't need to see the whole city to get to the grocery store.
Language is the same. You don't need to know 10,000 words to have a coffee with someone. You just need the next sentence.
I remember a moment when my fog was very thick. I was in a small town and I needed to find a specific museum. I had studied the directions unit in my book for weeks. Turn right, go straight ahead, it's next to the pharmacy.
And let me guess, reality was different.
Totally. A local man approached me and I tried to ask. My brain went into a system error. I forgot the word for museum. I forgot the word for behind.
So what did you do? Did you run away?
I almost did, but then I just pointed and said, history? Old things? Building? I felt like a child, but the man smiled, pointed down the street, and said, ah, the gallery, 2 blocks.
And you survived.
I survived, and I realized the goal wasn't to be a poet, the goal was to find the museum. My imperfect English was a total success.
That success comes from a change in perspective. Let's define these.
Perspective, your point of view. Changing your perspective means seeing your mistakes as data rather than failure.
Imperfect, having faults. But in language, imperfect is often functional.
Understandable. If the other person gets the message, you've won.
Winning isn't just about the museum, though. Ron, your story shows that you stopped being a student in that moment and became a communicator.
Exactly. And that leads us to what I think is the most psychological part of the fastest way to learn, the identity shift.
This is huge. Most people carry the identity of English learner like a heavy backpack. It implies you are less than or not ready.
In 2026, you have to drop the backpack. You have to stop saying, I'm trying to learn English, and start saying, I am an English speaker who is still improving.
It sounds like a small change in words, but it's a massive change in the brain. It's about owning the space you occupy.
It's like being an actor. When an actor plays a king, they don't wait until the end of the movie to feel royal. They have to walk like a king and talk like a king from scene 1.
If you want to be fluent, you have to act fluent, not by using big words, but by using your small words with confidence. Use your imperfect English with the energy of a perfect speaker.
So how do we practice being this new person? It's about the small, invisible habits.
I tell my students to do the narrator. When you're alone at home, narrate your life. I am opening the fridge. I am looking for the milk. Oh, we are out of milk. I must go to the store.
It sounds funny, but you're training your brain to associate your physical actions with English sounds. You're building the English version of yourself.
Or try the midnight note. Before you sleep, write one sentence about your day. Not a whole diary, just one thought. Today I felt tired, but the coffee was good.
These tiny actions weave English into the fabric of your soul. It stops being a subject and starts being a voice.
And once it becomes a voice, you need to make sure that voice has a home. You need an ecosystem.
We've talked about identity and conversation, but those things need a system to survive. If you only practice when you feel like it, you'll never reach the leap.
Think about a forest. A forest isn't just trees. It's the soil, the insects, the rain, the sunlight. If the soil is dry, the trees won't grow, no matter how much sun they have.
Your English is the same. Your listening is the rain. Your reading is the soil. Your speaking is the tree. They all feed each other. If you stop listening, your speaking will eventually become dry and repetitive.
You need a 360-degree approach, but, and this is the important part, it doesn't have to be a heavy approach.
Let's give them a concrete plan, because study more is bad advice. Study this way is better.
In 2026, with all our tools, 30 minutes is the magic number. 10 minutes of active input, listen to a podcast like this one, or watch a short video. 10 minutes of consumption, read a news snippet or a few pages of a book. 10 minutes of output, talk to yourself, write a comment online, or use a voice-to-text app to dictate your thoughts.
That's it. 30 minutes. If you do that every day, you are doing more for your brain than someone who studies for 5 hours once a week.
It's the law of the brick. If you want to build a wall, you can't just throw 1,000 bricks in a pile and hope they turn into a wall.
You have to lay one brick, apply the cement, lay the next. It looks like nothing on day 1. It looks like nothing on day 10.
But on day 100, you have a solid structure. On day 365, you have a house. Fluency is just a collection of consistent bricks.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from gardens to forests to foggy roads. But Emma, if we had to boil it all down for someone who feels lost.
The fastest way is a lie if it means shortest effort. The fastest way is actually consistency.
It's the person who refuses to stop. It's the person who chooses to accept that they will make mistakes and chooses to speak anyway.
The leap isn't a single jump. It's 1,000 small steps that eventually take you across the canyon.
So, before we close this 2026 update, we want to hear from you one last time.
Leave a comment starting with, "This week I will lay my bricks by..."
Maybe it's listening to this episode twice. Maybe it's finally talking to that colleague in English. Whatever it is, make it small enough to achieve.
And remember, the words aren't going anywhere. Take your time.
We're so proud of the progress you're making, even the progress you can't see yet.
We'll be here in the next episode to keep walking with you. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe and tell us in the comments which advice you liked the most.
Until then, I'm Ron.
And I'm Emma.
This is Speak English Time. Happy learning!